Welcome to the Florida Real Estate Influencer Podcast, a place where people who know share their perspectives on the market, current trends, and all about the future of real estate here in Florida. I'm your host, Matt Dixon, and on each episode, we will feature a market influencer sharing their expertise so you can always have the inside track. As we continue our journey throughout Florida, talking to experts in diverse real estate markets, this week's guest is a very special one. This is Michael Martirena from the Ivan and Mike team in South Florida. Michael is not only an expert in the Miami and Miami Beach luxury residential market, he's had a lot of experience in various other sectors in the real estate industry. He's no stranger to a multi-million-dollar deal. And not only does he head up the very successful Ivan and Mike team, he's also a top producer in his own right. And I really hope that you enjoy listening to what he has to say as much as I did interviewing him. Welcome to the Market Influencers Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Dixon, and today I am absolutely thrilled to welcome and invite to speak to you one of the doyens of the Miami and Miami Beach real estate market, my very good friend, Mr. Michael Martirena.
Good morning. Thank you.
Welcome, Michael. Welcome. How are you?
I'm excellent, man. Thanks so much for having me today.
Of course. It's an absolute honor for me. I'm obviously people listening and watching are going to learn a little bit more about you, but I already know a little bit, and I'm just honored that you're here. I really am. So
I'm
thanks
blessed.
for joining us. Yeah,
thanks
absolutely.
for having me.
So in today's episode, we're going to be discussing the luxury real estate market in Miami, which obviously is something that right in your wheelhouse. It's something that you've developed over a long time. I know you've been very successful. And I want you to share a little bit about you, your business, you as a person, you as a businessman, and to ask you some technical questions about the actual market itself. Sure. So that people watching and listening can actually understand what's actually going on in the Miami market. So I guess we'll get straight into it, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
I know you've got a love for real estate. So maybe give us a bit of a background as to how you got into real estate and where your love for real estate came from.
I came right out of college. I was fascinated by real estate, and I got into fixing and flipping homes. So I got licensed because I quit paying the commission to the realtors. I'm like, forget it. I'm just going to get licensed, fix and flip my own homes. I did that, and I've been an investor right out of college. Mm-hmm. And that's what really kind of put me into getting into real estate in the luxury sector.
So you've never had a real job? That's what we're saying?
No,
right?
no. I've had a real job before, but it's like everyone, it's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I was in the medical industry before. Oh, okay. Selling medical supplies and jumped into real estate.
So here in South Florida always, right?
Yeah, always in South Florida.
Where are you from originally? Just as a matter of interest.
I am Colombian and Uruguayan descent, but I was born in New York.
Right, okay.
I'm a Yankee.
All right, but has Miami always been your focus?
Yes, in real estate full on in South Florida, yeah. I've been right out of college 22 years ago.
Wow, and you're licensed with Compass, right?
You
work with Compass. Great company, so am I, obviously. Headquartered in New York, but making a speciality out of South Florida. So what's happening in the real estate market in Miami? It's been a very interesting. Obviously, my market is Orlando. That's where I spend most of my time. I used to live and work in Miami, but never really in the market that you're in. And I've always been really interested in the dynamics of Miami. They've always been very, very different than my home market in Orlando. So give us a potted history. What's been going on with Miami over, say, the last 12 months or so, and what do you see going on in the future?
I mean, Miami has always been a very dynamic market. Even pre-COVID and all the years, you have a lot of global activity and international activity coming to Miami. Mm-hmm. Past 12, 24 months has been just gangbusters for South Florida. Right. Been nonstop, 24/7, literally 7 days a week. With our team, it's just been a blessing.
It's a good job you're a young man. That's what I'm saying.
You keep not up with that young. I got a bunch of gray hair.
And was that pandemic driven? Because that's what we found in Orlando, is that we had a lot of activity like coming out of the pandemic and during the pandemic.
It was. And I had joined Compass probably at the beginning of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I switched over from a prior firm, and it's been just nonstop and go, go, go. Wow.
And so what are your buyers looking like? Have they changed over the past 2 years or so, or?
Majority of the buyers are from the Northeast. Mm-hmm. Our foreign buyers really slowed down. Starting to get a little bit of an uptick from the Latin American buyers because of politics going on in South America. Mm-hmm. So we're having that influx into Miami. Mm-hmm. But I would say 80-85% is mixed between Northeasterners and West Coast from California.
And so the domestic buyer, I mean, what's their profile? Are they looking for second homes? Are they primary residents? Or is it a mix of the two?
It's a mix of the two. It was always for second, third, fourth home. Mm-hmm. And then with the pandemic, you had that migration coming down, and it's been in like different waves. It's been like in 3 different waves. Right. First, people tried it out. Their friends, they came to visit. They loved it. Second wave and third wave. And now we're here. And with all the corporations, we have 140 plus different companies moving to the South Florida market. Wow. Those were the stats in the Miami-Dade. So with a lot of the CEOs moving down, their first step was last year or the year before, and then they're transitioning their employees down here.
Sure.
We've been working with the Citadel, helping them transition down here, and it's going to be on, it's a process.
So would you say that's a kind of a specialty of yours, like the relocation side of things?
It's one of many things that we do.
Yeah, right.
So we've been very blessed to be tapped on to assist on that transition down here.
Yeah.
And it's fun. We'll take it.
Very, very cool. I once got told by an extremely wise man who'd been in the real estate industry for 45 years. I said, well, as a young, naive man, I asked him the question, what is it that you focus on in real estate? He went, it's real estate, man. He says, you've got to spin as many plates as you possibly can for as long as you possibly can. And it's great to niche down into certain markets, right, in certain areas of your market, but you've pretty much got to be able to do everything for everybody, right?
You do. I mean, you got to stay in your lane and be an expert in what you know, but you've got to be able to pivot. And it's not just, and that's, I think a lot of agents do, is just stick to one thing or two things. And with my partner, my business partner, Ivan, and our team, we do a little bit of everything. We do, from, lower income homes all the way to the ultra luxury to rehabbing, multifamily. Right. We know a little bit of everything, and we've got an expert in our team that handles it.
So if you get a potential investor, say from the Northeast or from overseas, and they're looking for a diverse investment, so they're thinking, I'm going to have a second home in Miami, but I also want something that's going to generate some revenue. Is that the sort of thing you can help people with? You can put a portfolio together?
Absolutely. That's spent, I mentioned it to you before in the past, I worked at the W Hotel, so my niche at the time was condo hotel component, and for cash flow for Northeasterners or anyone coming to look to stay in their unit for a handful of days, have some sort of return and have it pay off for their HOA taxes and make some money on it.
That's really interesting. I know that we've got a segment coming up with a member of your team, Cindy Perez, and that's going to be really interesting because we're going to be talking about the short-term rental market, which obviously we'll save for her to expand upon. But what you're saying is that you're getting people that are actually investing in Miami that are looking to rent the property out when they're not using it and then taking a return from that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also a nice way for them to kind of figure out where they want to live in Miami. It's usually a stepping stone for them to get their feet wet in here.
So they buy the property first, and then they kind of figure out where the next property is going to be, where they settle.
Yeah,
sort of
that's a transition.
And are they bringing the families with them as well? Is it a kind of...
They are.
Right?
They are.
So is there an age dynamic, would you say? Because we used to have it, again, in Orlando in the short-term rental communities, we used to have a lot of people that were in the kind of like 40s, 50s, and now it's 30s, 40s. Have you seen that change as well in Miami?
I have. It has gotten younger because of the transition and their children moving to the better schools that we have in South Florida, which the transition, it was Miami Beach, and then they end up moving to like Coconut Grove, Coral Gables, Pinecrest, where there's more A-rated schools, and that's what the transition is.
So let's talk about that a little bit as well, because Miami is such a compartmentalized, separated, diverse market, isn't it? When we talk about markets like Miami, you've got all these different areas. You just mentioned a few of them right there. So if you have a client coming to you and they're saying, well, I've no idea where I want to be. I just want to be somewhere in South Florida in the sunshine. How do you start that process of identifying exactly what they're looking for?
Well, obviously, it's asking the right questions. But what I usually do, which, again, my business partner, Ivan, gives me a hard time, I give him a whole tour of Miami. I don't even, take him anything. Because you'll know once you start jiving and talking to them and asking them the right questions. I'll tour them all the way from Sunny Isles, down to beach, mid-beach, Surfside, Ball Harbor, south of 5th, then cut over to the beach. To the mainland, Brickell, Coconut Grove, Coral Gables, Pinecrest, and that's really
that's the corridor. That's a full sweep. So it's 180 degrees almost, right?
Yeah. Right. And wow. It's a full 2 days of doing that, and then we start digging into, because they'll tell you hey, I like the vibe of this neighborhood. Hey, I don't like this at all. And then we start digging in deep into what makes sense for them.
So you would say a 2-3 day trip to Miami should really kind of hone down on what they're looking for, and you should be able to find them something when they're here, sort of thing.
No doubt, because it's it's different flavors, different colors. Everyone likes Miami's not vanilla. It used to be very vanilla. It used to be just Miami Beach, and the Grove was 20 years ago. That's all that existed.
Right.
Now it's got different neighborhoods, and it depends on your vibe and with your family or single, and whether you want to party like what Miami's known for, or if you want to live in suburbia. It's got a lot to offer now.
So what you're saying is that you're profiling your client, and then you find the property to suit the client, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, amazing. Let's talk about that again. What's happening in Miami Beach? Because I know there's been a lot of, obviously, Champlain Towers and the unfortunate incidents at Surfside a while back. Has that changed what's happening in terms of what people are buying in Miami Beach?
It has. So after that whole incident, people started to pivot to just newer construction or buildings that were less than 10 years old.
Right.
Those older buildings are, and we have it happening right now, is there are special assessments and different maintenances that are going on to the building that
Oh, wow.
people weren't aware of. Now that it's just become a lot more, what's the word I'm trying to look for? They're trying to make it safer in all these buildings. So the safety
and
factor
that's got to be a
coming.
whole process, doesn't it? I mean, that's something that's got to be obviously an unfolding story, I guess, right now, right?
It is, and then what we've seen in this past season is that the developers now, because of their older buildings, there was no more land to build in Miami Beach.
Right.
Now what we've seen the trend is that they're buying out these older buildings that people are no longer able to afford the special assessments, so they just sell out to a developer, and now the developers are going to knock those buildings down and build new towers.
Yeah, I think we saw it in Sunny Isles. Is an area that I'm quite familiar with as well, obviously to the north of Miami Beach.
Yep.
And that area, that beachfront there, I mean, in the afternoon, there's just nothing but building shadows, right? There's no sun left on that beach there. But it was amazing to me because when I first started coming here, because my wife's actually from BOWA Harbour, when I first started coming here, there were low-rise buildings, right? And none of those, or very few of them, exist anymore. So that's what you're talking about, right?
I am, but you're starting to see this season they're launching a new project in Surfside, bought out an older tower. Same thing in Bal Harbour.
Tearing it down.
They're tearing it down and going to build beautiful new high-rises, which those areas do need.
Right, and are developers migrating inland as well? Is that also happening?
A tremendous amount. Again, as I mentioned, there's a scarcity for land. There's a lot more opportunity in the mainland, and since Miami has grown so much, all the hot restaurants and trendy places have come off the beach. It used to just be the beach.
Right.
So now you're looking at Brickell, you're looking at Design District, Wynwood, Gables and Grove. There's just a lot to do here.
And I think when people think about Miami Beach, they think about Ocean Drive, right? The classic Art Deco buildings on Ocean Drive. Is that area as well seeing a kind of like a regeneration at all, or?
It has, and thank God, because it needed it.
Right.
I mean, I would avoid it like the plague. And it's funny because it's a little nook, and then you've got the highest priced real estate in all of Miami Beach, which is south of Fifth.
South of Fifth, okay.
Right above to it. So they've done a great job. I actually was down it a couple weeks ago, and I was just very happy with what they've done. They made it a pedestrian and one-way to eliminate a lot of the stuff that used to go on in the past. They've eliminated a lot of the restaurants or on the sidewalks. To not be so touristy and the excessive drinking and partying that Miami's known for, but they have curbed it, and they need to. Yeah,
it's a really interesting. Again, with my wife coming from Bal Harbour, she's told me the history of South Beach is that a few years ago you just wouldn't go down there at all, right? And then you would go down, and then it's been on that kind of like downturn ever since. So thank God that something's changing.
It's turning for the right direction. Yeah, it really has, and because there's a lot of new projects going up, and the prices that they're asking, a lot of these developers are contributing. You had the Ritz Miami Beach, which is on 17 and Lincoln Road. That family is contributing a good amount of money to revamp Lincoln Road, or to make it enhance it. And they're doing the whole Lincoln Road project, which is going to enhance and bring people back because it lost its luster from 15 years ago.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was down there yesterday. I went to the Compass office down on Lincoln Road. I noticed that there are quite a few stores that are closed down there at the moment, and it's got that feeling that it's about ready to turn over, and somebody's going to get it by the scruff of the neck and make it good again.
Yeah,
right?
Lincoln Road is still special. It's a great spot. It's like you feel like you're in Europe. Restaurants, coffee shops, it just became a little too commercialized, but I think it'll go back like everything is, cycles.
Sure. That's fantastic. And just turning a little bit now to the technical side of real estate, obviously we've seen higher interest rates in recent weeks and months. The first question, I guess, is what is your split between people who are purchasing with cash and purchasing with finance?
Well, for us, since we focus on the luxury sector, I would say it's 80% cash, 20% financing. We've seen anything above the $3 million mark. Those are our cash buyers, and it has slowed down a bit, but it's still it's season right now. After Thanksgiving and Art Basel kickoff is the start of our season. It's been very dynamic, and then for our cash buyers, $2 million and below, it has slowed down.
Let me just stop you there, because anybody that's not familiar with Miami and Art Basel and Art Week, could you just give us an outline as to the craziness that Art Basel is?
Art Basel is the biggest art festival in the country, and it takes you 2 hours to drive, call it 4 miles. It's amazing. The parties, the art shows, if you've not been to Art Basel, you've got to do it once.
Right.
It's really spectacular.
Right. And is that something where do you bring clients in for Art Basel? Do you have a lot of clients during that week?
We have a lot of clients to come in, but since it's becoming bigger and bigger every year, it becomes a lot harder to see real estate because it's impossible to get around.
You just can't navigate your way around the traffic, right?
So we just get all cancellations. They're like, you know what, we're just going to party and enjoy Miami, and I'll come back next month.
And just use it like a business development, kind of like just meet people if you can, and if you can't, then you can't, right?
Yeah. It's a lot of networking. It's a lot of big parties and socializing, and just there's a lot of art purchased before all of that. But then during the week, it
becomes more social.
Yeah,
that's fabulous. And just going again, I know that I'm kind of dodging from one subject to the next, but in terms of the interest rate rises that we've seen recently, has that perturbed your market at all, slowed your market? Because I know in Orlando we've seen a big slowdown because of the interest rate rises, but then we're not necessarily dealing with a lot of cash buyers. People over the last 12 months were able to leverage in at 2.5-3% mortgage rates. Is that of that 20% of your business that you're doing, has that slowed that business down?
It has tremendously. Yeah, just like across the country, it's just. Miami is a little different than the rest of the country, real estate wise, because we're still in the perfect storm.
Yeah.
Everything you read, all the articles across the country, real estate is flat or is down.
Yeah.
And healthy,
you're not feeling that to a great extent?
We are. We are feeling it, but it's still I think Miami is in a different position than most markets across the country. Right. In a healthy real estate market, you've got 6 months of inventory. That's a balanced market. Right now, Miami has 4.5 months of inventory.
Okay.
So we have that in our favor.
Right.
And then you have its season that I was telling you the migration down here with different waves. The first wave came in, second wave, now we're in third. And people, their friends are all here already, so they're like, okay, we have to buy because our friends are here. And then now they're very specific too. They're like, well, our friend lives in the Continuum in South Beach. We want to be in the Continuum.
Right.
And they're like, they have to be where their friends are.
Right.
So that's.
And have you found it, because we found in the craziness of the last 18 months, 24 months, that we were making multiple offers on properties, and there was like 50 or 60 contracts going in at any one time. Did you experience that here as well in this market?
We did, and that's the ugly side of real estate, because agents, weren't as friendly with us, when we're bringing the buyers, and they become a little arrogant and cocky. But that's all gone away.
But I imagine as well that you're working at developer level, and then pre-construction developments. You're working at developer level, and you've got those relationships with the developers already, right? So you're able to get people into the properties. Yeah. So, give me an idea of what it looks like if you were, let's say, you're sat in Connecticut right now, and you're thinking it doesn't make sense not to have a place in Miami. I want a second home in Miami. What are the steps? How should people approach, get in touch with you and figuring that out with you? What process would you work with them?
Sure. First of all, is reaching out to us. So you can come to our website, ivanandmike.com, or give us a call on our cell.
What's your cell phone number? Let's put that there.
Sure. It's 561-310-3009.
Okay.
And like I said, the first thing I do is give them a tour of Miami. If they have got the time. Most time they do and they don't, depending on their vacation, how much time they're down here.
Right.
Give them a tour, and then we'll start focusing on certain pocket neighborhoods that make sense for them. And it's, I love what we do. I really do. I mean, I get to show the best real estate in the entire world. Miami is such a dynamic city.
That's fabulous. So you've got a passion still for what you do, right?
Every time I smile when I get to open the doors, the location, the ocean, and see that the turquoise water and the amenities that these buildings have, and I'm like, this is crazy. I get to sell this stuff.
Like this, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's a blast.
It's amazing. Finally, what I'm going to do is finish off. We have a quick fire round that we're actually introducing to the podcast, so I'm going to ask you some questions off the cuff. I know you don't know anything about this, so don't look so worried.
I'm just serious.
I guess you answered one of the questions, which is, where did you grow up?
I was born in Queens, New York, lived in Long Island, and then ended up growing up in Wellington, which is in Palm Beach County, out west, Coors Country.
All right, wonderful. And what do you do for fun outside real estate? What's your number one go-to? What do you do?
I love working out, running, and I love sports. Right now I'm watching the World Cup. Every game that I can watch.
Oh, my Lord.
After this podcast, I'm going to go watch the...
Good for you.
Yeah,
Good for you.
Semifinals.
Yeah. Me too. Favorite music or band? What kind of music do you like listening to?
My favorite, I would say, is Bob Marley.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Really cool.
I like everything. I like all types of music and genre. I really do. I listen to techno. I love country music, Latin music. I listen to everything.
If there's one style of dance that you could avoid, what would it be?
All of it. I don't dance. I'm the only Latin that doesn't dance.
That's hilarious. Fantastic. What's your favorite restaurant or bar in Miami right now?
Oh, that's a good question. Favorite restaurant or bar in Miami? I would say it's Komodo in Brickell.
Okay.
And I was actually rated the #1 highest grossing restaurant in the country.
What style of food is that?
It's Asian.
Right.
Yeah. It's got a little bit of everything. It's Asian, Chinese. They got Peking duck, which is amazing there. They got a little bit of everything. It's just the ambiance, which is awesome.
Fantastic. And your favorite holiday destination?
Oh, Europe for sure.
Any part?
I like Portugal, love Spain, love Italy. Any of those three, I'm happy.
Fantastic. And then finally, final question. What does a perfect South Florida Sunday morning look like for you?
To me, I like to get up and honestly, sunrise on the beach. And it sounds cliche, but I do it. I do it with my kids, and I walk because I get up super early, and I like to watch the sunrise.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us today. That's been really, really interesting.
Thank you for having me.
Honestly, I'm so pleased that you've taken the time out of your very busy day to come and see us today.
You're awesome.
Michael Martirena can be reached on the number which you'll see below on the video, and we'll put a link down below to his website as well. Thanks for watching us today, and keep following us for further information on the real estate market. We're going to bring you more diverse influences in the real estate market, and thanks again, Michael, and hope to see you again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Cheers.